recorded.
So, Madam Shiba.
Yes, please.
Just a concern.
Yes, please.
So what happens when you choose a topic and then along the way, you've moved past halfway and you realize it's on a dead end?
What do you mean it's on a dead end?
You know, there are some of those things. Our technology is the limitation here, or our being in the third world country is the limitation, or whatever. And you realize that you cannot.
Sorry, Manuel, we've lost you. Hello, Manuel. Hello, Manuel. We seem to have lost you. Okay, we seem to have lost Manuel, but maybe I can try and preempt or try and guess what Manuel was trying to ask, the question that he was trying to ask, specifically in terms of technology. Let's say you've started a topic, or you're trying to carry out some kind of research, and maybe the technology you're trying to implement fails. Now, the first and most important question I would ask is, was the technology the research? Was it the research question? Manuel, we had lost you. Are you back?
Yeah, I'm back. So my concern is,
yes,
you're trying to do some kind of research, or you're trying to come up with some, but given the current, let's say, limitations in technology or location, okay, let's say, yeah, you're in Uganda and you know certain things maybe you might not have access to because you're in Uganda. So you realize that your research has come to a dead end. Do you switch, or do you just continue with the failure?
The first question is it the technology that you're saying that you fail to access?
Okay, given whether it's technology or it's okay, just let's think about it all around, not just technology. Like, yes, you've come to a standstill and you're like, I cannot continue because ABC.
Yes. Okay. Now, yeah. First things first. When we are starting with research, that's why one of the things I would like to say is, don't think about a research topic. What is your problem? What question have you formulated? What is your research question? Your research is about a research question that you seek to answer at the end. Yeah, you have a question that you seek to answer, that at the end you have an answer which you're giving to a certain community. Now, let me give an example. I remember one time I had a discussion with a colleague. He said he gave a question. We were talking about it. He was, but then I was doing my research. I had not yet done it, and we just had a conversation. We were standing in the compound where he said that research is, you have a question that needs to be answered. So he gave an example. Let us say your research question is, what is the distance? What is the distance from Earth to the moon? Yeah, maybe that is your research question. The first thing he said is, okay, the first question is it me who is asking that question? If it is just Sheba who is asking that question, me alone, and there is no community that wants to know, then I'm wasting my time. That question is irrelevant. Two, is it important? Of what significance is it that we should know the distance between here and the moon? Is there some miscarriage of justice that will happen because we don't know? So in other words, Manuel, you should have a research question that a certain research community is seeking. I gave each one of you an articles. I gave the different groups articles. There were, I think each of you had three sets. Some may have, I'm not sure, but I think each of you should have had about 3 sets. But at the end of it, I said, what other research areas do they point out? Anyone who does research, at the end of it, and they publish, they usually point out areas that need further research. So where do we normally find our research problems? First of all, we pick an area that is of interest to us. Secondly, we start reading what research has been done in that area. And while we're reading about it, those people who have done research in that area, they tell you what has not been answered, what needs to be answered. So from there, we pick our research problem. Then the third thing we do once we've selected our research problem, we try we also ask ourselves, am I able to answer this research problem? Is this a research problem I can do within the time of a master's degree? Or is this more of at PhD level? So the times when you're going through those questions, you should be discussing with your supervisor. You can also discuss with other people who are in that area to let you know, oh, can this be done within the time frame that I want to do? For example, Manuel, if you decided that you want to do research that will need you to collect data over a space of 5 years, then you know that research is not feasible for a master's degree. Yeah? If you decide to say, I'm going to get research that requires me to get information from what is Uganda's security system, the most secretive, should I say, maybe the army, the most secretive part of the army, you know very well you're not going to get that information. So you also seek to seek a question where you know you have access to that data. So once you follow those steps of research religiously, we are going to look at what research is. The definition of research is, it's called systematic. It's called a systematic search for information, a systematic inquiry. So once you follow those steps, there's nowhere along the way you reach a dead end. Yes, they can reach a point while you're doing research where you may run out of steam, where you get tired, where you get blocked, where you get a mental block. That one is for sure, that exists. The best thing you can do at that time is maybe first pull back, go do something else, then come back when your mind is fresh. But if you have started the process, if you know you have identified a problem truly that exists, that you have seen in research articles, then that is a true research problem. I remember for my, like I said yesterday, the most research, the time when I truly immersed myself into research was when I was doing my PhD. And I also had that issue where I was trying to come up with the research. What is the research problem? While I was talking, especially when I would talk to professors, and I tell them, they would ask me, you're doing your PhD, what are you doing? Then I talk about it. I remember that the first vice chancellor of UMU, Professor Lejeune, when I met him and I was talking to him, then he asked, at the end of it, after I talked, he said, so what is your research, what is your problem? And the minute he asked me, I realized I was still going around in circles. I hadn't focused. I truly hadn't identified the researchable problem. I truly hadn't. And until you do, and even you yourself, you will see it. You yourself, you will see it. And you'll know, now this I can do. Now this I can do. For example, I think it was, I don't remember who it was who said it. I don't remember who said, one of you said that I now realize I can also look at implementation. I don't have to look at design. I can also look at implementation. Now, automatically for him now, he can start looking at research articles in the areas of IS on implementation, challenges that exist in implementation, areas which have not been researched in implementation. And yeah, I think it was Twine, yes, it was Twine. I've seen his name now, I've remembered. So that already is an area he can look at. Then he can look at research problems, areas that have not been answered. There are even situations where you will find there are questions which have been answered in one context, but not in another context. For example, for me, when I did my research, I was looking at mHealth, where mHealth has worked in developed contexts, but not in underdeveloped contexts, where the challenge was sustainability. How do we design something that is sustainable for a developing context? And my answer was in the not on the technology, on the context, because that was a unique context. So I think, Manuel, when we really look at it, I don't think you can start a research and you're halfway and then you realize, oh, I've hit a dead end. No.
All right, thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you. Maybe I'll first say this. Can I get access to your research paper? And then number two.
Yes.
Still, this is the last concern, I swear.
Yeah.
Okay, so you mentioned something like you need to be answering someone's. Okay, you need to
answer a question. Yes.
Answering someone's problem, right?
Yes, it should be a problem.
Now,
it should be a problem that exists within a research community, a certain research community.
Research community.
Yes.
Now, I was that got me thinking about certain researchers who research their things long before anyone started looking at those things.
Yes.
Now, of course, at that time, it's still irrelevant.
Yes.
But maybe this person thought ahead of time. Yeah. I'll give an example of Albert Einstein's research. Most of these things were proven tens of years after him dying.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and then some of the articles that you actually gave us, some of them were in the 90s, and you're talking about technology, you know? So I can imagine that some people actually thought way before. So unless you're telling us that at master's level, we are not supposed to be overly ambitious, just do research that is feasible and that is politically correct, and then you graduate.
Yes.
So, so as that got me thinking about the previous researchers who made their things way before time. Because even now, when you go, when you start looking at literature reviews, some people you get to wonder. You mean this guy did this thing in 1990 something, yeah, or in
Yes.
1950 or 1960? So that alone kind of gives you chills, because you wonder how those guys had the kind of knowledge from way back. So
Yes.
those are the people I was thinking about. But when you say that to solve the current issues, those guys at that time, I know they were not exactly solving the current issues, but
Yes.
their research kind of stood the test of time.
Yes, yes. Now we shall also, we are also going to see, when we come to look at should I say the theory behind research, although research, most people talk about, we say it's all theory, but should I say the different research types that exist, we shall find there is what we call, there is research that is groundbreaking. There's research that brings out new theory, for example, like the Albert Einsteins and things like that, where someone is introducing new theory. There are different kinds of research that exist, different kinds, and truly, and those. So you have the kind that that is implemented or that is solving a current problem, or there's research which is introducing new theory. There are different kinds of research. I'm not trying to dampen anyone's ambition. I'm not trying to dampen anyone's ambition. But number one, of course, the primary objective of each one of you here is to do a master's thesis, which must be done within a certain time. So one is of course to think about a research that you can finish in a certain time. But that research can also you can later on, after getting your master's, propel it to a PhD, and that there you can introduce new theory if you so wish, expand it further. So that one is key. Two, you also must do research that where because of time frame, you should know, I should be able to get information. I should have access to this information. Otherwise, it becomes impossible to do that kind of research. Manuel, I can actually give you a book, my research book, because I know my research is very, very, very very much in line with your area. Robert, you have a comment, question, and then Tony.
Yeah, thanks, Doctor. Actually, the question I had, let's say I have identified a problem, let's say drug adherence, and I want to design a solution that is able to solve that problem, but I don't have the skills. Like in my mind, I want the system to do A, B, C, D that should be able to solve a problem that I have identified, but I can't design that system. So during the project, like the research, can I talk about the problem, the system I want to design, and what it should be able to do, and I don't go ahead and design the application?
Okay, it's your part of your research. You want to design, but you don't know how to. Or rather design, or probably build it, the building process, the coding and so on and so forth.
Yes.
Okay. Now, I'm going to step this in as a researcher. Yes, as a researcher. When we are doing, first of all, this is to first of all emphasize something that is purely from a research perspective. When we are doing our IT systems at undergraduate level, the emphasis is on skill. Not so. The emphasis is on skill, IT skills. We want to see that you can code. We want to see that you can design and implement a network system, whatever it is, the emphasis is on the IT skill. Now, when we're doing research, the emphasis is on research skills, not the IT skills. Okay? So the emphasis is on you answering a research problem, not designing a system. Here is an example I'll give you, but however, I would like to emphasize that when you're presenting your work, some of my colleagues in the faculty really emphasize a lot on the IT skill. But if you can't, if you are really somebody who has done research, your appreciation is more for research than IT. What do I mean? If, let's say, in your research, you're required to design some kind of system, get somebody else to do it for you. You focus on answering the research question. Robert, I don't know if I've answered your question. Twine.
Yeah, you have answered my
Yes.
question.
You focus on answering the research question because you have been tested over and over again on your IT skills. Your dissertation should really be you now putting forward research skills, becoming an academic. That's what research is. You become an academic. Tony, you had a question, then we come to Senoga.
Well, I think mine was to do with what Emma was actually saying when you talked about not going so high. But again, you came back and explained to it.
Yes.
But I think to me, if I'm to get you, just to confirm, my takeaway from all this is you're simply just saying, look here, a lot of the things you want to do have already been posed and done.
Yes.
So all you have to do is just simply go out there, do a lot of some reading and research.
Yes.
And then build up from what has already been built. There's nothing new that you're going to come up with.
Exactly. It's normally groundbreaking research is rare. It's quite rare. I'm not trying to say don't try something new. I'm not trying to tell you if your vision is to see something that others don't see, please go ahead. But I mean, for the sake of your masters, you have to do something that is doable within the time. But for your PhD, you can push it further. That's what I would say.
Great.
Yeah. Senoga, and then we'll have Luyimbazi, Joseph.
Yes, thank you, madam. Now, what I wanted to know in a scenario whereby I'm into agriculture, in a scenario whereby I'm supposed to maybe design a system that will be used to help in moving information to farmers. In other words, advance information to farmers like e-extension. In case I don't be able to get the system that will do that exact work. Or in other words, don't you think that my question is how can the farmers get this information in using maybe the system? If I design the system, isn't that the answer that I'm giving to my question, or my question is more of a research question, a concept question that I have to answer in addressing the problems faced in accessing that rather than designing the system? Because I was thinking maybe design a system, that's when you're giving the answer. The answer is the system in function and delivering what you are supposed to do.
Okay. Now, I think your question I would refer it to what is a good research question? Yeah. What is a good research question? A research, if we're talking about research, is what we call a good research question and a bad research question. A bad research question is when, now there I would refer back to what I was telling Manuel earlier, when he says when you hit a dead end. You'd hit a dead end if you designed a bad research question. If you have a research question that can give you a yes or no answer, then that's a bad research question. A research question must be complex. And it shouldn't be a question for you. Like I have emphasized to everyone, it shouldn't be a question for you. It should be a question that is of concern to a community, a research community. There must be something that is of concern to a research community. The very question, actually the area you're discussing is the area of ICT 4D, where we have all these, ICT people are constantly coming up and saying, we want to design systems to solve healthcare, to solve agriculture information, to solve this, to solve that, to solve that. And ICT is constantly bombarding the developing context with one innovation after another. At a certain point, Sanoga, don't we ICT people need to stop and realize that we are just, it's like, you know, how can I put it? You know, a woman who decides to go and every time we say, I'm not happy, I'm going to a shop, I buy a dress, and then the next day I'm still not happy. Let me make myself happy. Let me go and buy a dress, buy a new pair of trousers. I'm still not happy. Let me go and buy the latest thing. And you find this person has hoarded up so many things in their house and they are still not happy. Yeah. Yeah. So the major question is, in research, we must be looking at a complex situation. We can't still have the simple look of the simple idealistic look we had when we were doing our bachelor's and you're presenting your system and the lecturer is asking you, how does this work? Show me this. How come you don't have this? We really have to come out of that mindset. We are now looking at the science. We are looking at a research problem, an issue that needs to be solved scientifically. Yes, Joseph Lihimbazi, question or comment?
Comments.
Yes.
Thank you, Doctor. I think I appreciate enrolling for masters because this one I have seen on the undergraduate or that bachelor's level. They are emphasizing on the topic. What's the topic? What is your topic? Instead of emphasizing on the question and identifying the problem. So they are more in looking at the topic, while these questions and the problem statement will generate a clear topic for you, which can be used either on your level or on another level. But after finding the real questions and the problem statement. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. Andrew?
Yes, please. My question is, you said a research question must be answering the community's, it must be answering to community. Now, yes. How do you determine the size of the community? Because I've had instances where a colleague would say, I was told my sample size is too small. And I think even in one of the articles we read, there is a university which was being researched on, and they said that their research was limited to one university. They cannot generalize. So when do I determine, okay, my sample community should be this, I should not go beyond this? Okay.
Now, very good question, Andrew. We have a research community, then we have should I say that the area of the population we are researching, or the case study, or those are two completely different things.
Beneficiaries.
Yes, the beneficiaries. Now we have, when we are talking about a research community, we are saying there's a research problem which has been identified by certain research community. Yeah, a certain research community. What do we mean by the research? The research community is that community that has been publishing or writing about a certain area, a certain problematic area. So take an example. In the medical field, you have different sections. You have gynecologists, you have those who, you have those in neurology, you have the general practitioners, you have those in infectious diseases, and so on and so forth. So now if, so let us say those who are dealing with the vaccine, the COVID-19 vaccine, they are now currently doing research on the vaccine. They're doing research on the vaccine, or answering certain questions which are being asked by certain research community. For example, maybe within the vaccine, those scientists, there are those who ask the question on what antibodies need to fight the COVID-19 vaccine. Sheba doesn't need to know that, because Sheba is not in that field. Sheba is in the field of ICT. But there are those people within that community who are asking that question. There are scientists within that community. And whichever researcher is going to research on it is going to be giving information, new information to those asking that question. That is the research community that researcher will be answering to, whoever is researching on the antibodies that fight the COVID-19 vaccine. Yeah. Let us say in the field of IS, there is a question that is burning. There's a burning question. Just an example. Maybe people are asking the question on the issue of usability, designing systems that are usable. And there's a major question on that we have system. There are people saying, if you use this approach, you come with the most user-friendly thing. If you use this approach, and then somebody says, I want to answer the question of which is the most, if I use this approach, will it produce a user-friendly? If I use this approach, you're answering that question to, you're talking to the researchers in the field of IS. Now in your research, you may say, I'm going to design a system using this approach, and this will be my case study. Your case study is not the research community. The research community are those people who are interested in actually understanding and knowing which approach can actually produce the most user-friendly, so that they say, okay, this research showed these results, this research showed these results. And therefore, we can conclude that this is the best format. The person, maybe when you are designing your system, you went to an accountant. The accountant is not interested in which approach ICT people use to design systems. The accountant wants to know, can this system help me produce audit reports? Can this system help me see the balances? Can this system help me see the money coming in? That's what they want to know. But your research question has been lingering in a certain research community. Have I answered your question, Andrew? What the research community is?
Yes, you have. Thank you.
Yes. Yes. So that's why it is important when you're coming up, identifying your research problem and coming up with your research question, you really need to go into your research community. So for example, those in IS, start going through articles on IS, on anything you want to look at, be it implementation, be it design. Look at the case of action research. They're trying to see if we implement this, does it really bring about collaboration? Looking at does it actually bring about the efficiency or the improved thing? Something like that. Start scouring those articles and look for research problems. Those in ICT, if you're looking at governance, if you're looking at management, go there, go to that research community and start looking through. Those who are interested in the areas of ICT 4D, you can look at for example, I think it is Senoga who asked the question about agriculture. Look in the areas of ICT 4D. There is a lot of research in that area. Look for the problem areas where you can say, okay, you can pick out a research problem which fits into your area. Already, most of you from your workplace, there are things you see where you wish to do your research. There is already quite a bit of research going on. You start scouring those articles, look for the problem areas and pick out something from there. Start identifying your research problems from there. Do you have any other comment, question? No, we are okay. I'm looking at the time, it's 10:41. Yes, Tony, you had a...
No, I think I was just confirming that probably that is it.
Okay. I'm looking at the time, it's 10:41. I'm thinking it may be a bit ambitious to start on an introduction of research. One, I'm requesting, can we move to the next lecture for our next session, so that if I start now on the introduction, which is also a bit, because it really gets into the approaches and theories behind research, understanding what research is. So I don't think it would be a good idea to start now. It's about 18 minutes to 11. Is it okay if we can end here?
I think personally it's okay. It's okay. I don't know for the other guys. Maybe what we need to reconcile before you leave is you had requested that we can get a day, in a week, to see how we can cover up for the class.
Yes, please.
So I think that is something you can reconcile before we leave here. Robert Lubanga, please take over. Yes. I'm getting comments that the class prefers Wednesday, so I don't know. I think that is just from 1 or 2, but I think the class needs to confirm.
Okay.
Wednesday can work.
Wednesday, what time?
Same time, evening time.
Evening
time.
6:30.
Yes, just 20.
Maybe Wednesday being midweek, maybe if we would push the time, considering people may be working at the jam, maybe if you can start from 7.
Okay.
7 is okay. We have no problem with 7.
Okay. For me, the Wednesday is also fine with me. I have no problem.
Awesome.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for the very good participation, and I hope we shall have a fruitful module at the end of this.
Thank you.
Okay, I wish. Yes, please.
No, I'm saying thanks for the class.
Okay, okay. Okay, wish everyone a good weekend. Okay, okay, bye.
Excuse me, madam.
Yes,
Excuse me.
please.
I wanted to know if there is any more communication you can make on the Moodle, and if you want us to do anything there, like the work you put there, anything that you'd like us to be doing meanwhile, or we just wait for Wednesday.
I think I put up in the first section. Okay, first of all, I want to ask: have all of you submitted your work?
Yes, I've done, and I think my group we did.
Let me just check submissions.
Maybe Dr. Equipment before we leave.
Yes, please. I think
We
all
have a
Yes,
we have a WhatsApp group for both classes. I don't know if it is fine if we can add you to that group.
Oh, I would appreciate that.
Okay.
I would appreciate that. Mm. So yes, I've seen that all of you have submitted, so that is fine. And then I've put up the slides where to use for the next section, the introduction. It's under a folder called Introduction to Research Methods. So I've put up those slides. Let me see if I have anything else under there. Yeah, the slides are there. So you can go ahead and look at them. And then the next topic that follows, which looks at research problems and research questions, the very topic we've been talking about. The slides, I have slides there, and I think there should be one article. You can go ahead and read on that. Look for anything on how to write a good research question. I shall also upload more articles on that. I think I also uploaded, I left there my classes, my recorded classes for last year. So you can go ahead and look at those videos. But okay, they may confuse if we haven't yet discussed everything. So first of all, just have a look at the written part. Let's have the lecture, and then you can then I'll upload each video that each session we have. I'll upload those videos on Moodle, and then you can also use. I decided to leave the videos of last year so that you can also get maybe any topic, any discussion that we had. In last year's class, I had one member of the class who was very good with the quantitative research, and he really gave us very good information on that. So I've also left those videos because he gives some really good pointers. I lean more on qualitative research. That's where my experience lies. I have some knowledge on quantitative, but he had really good knowledge. So that's why I left some of those videos there so that you can use them for just to expand your knowledge on that.
Okay, madam.
Okay. Okay, thank you, everyone. I think we can sign off from here. Have a good weekend and blessed Sunday.